because what is he going to do with the women in his office? How is he going to manipulate? How is he going to deceive? When I saw him lying about the Nazi tattoo, that was the first kind of chip in my armor where I was like, I can't let him continue to lie like this. I couldn't watch him continue to just deceive people and run this fantasy that he's this changed person that had this dark past, when really he's doing these things to this day. I mean, Jenny's accusations are only a few years old, for example. So, like, we know that he's continued to do this to women.
We're going to have much more of my conversation with Lindsay Fifield in moments as pressure continues to mount among Democrats for Grant Plattner to get out of the main Senate race. That's next.
Does Inez want a $4 sausage biscuit meal deal or a sausage McMuffin meal deal? Sausage McMuffin. Get more value with your $4 breakfast meal deal from McDonald's.
At Stanton, our progressive lenses are digital, customized for you. All distances, one lens. Get 2 progressives plus a free eye exam for just $175. Smart, simple, Stanton.
Managing asthma can keep you second-guessing, but what if you could carry on with fewer attacks? Extenture is an ultra-long-acting biologic for a certain type of severe asthma. It's an add-on treatment that can help deliver protection from asthma attacks with just 2 doses a year. Extenture isn't for sudden breathing problems. When asthma gives you pause, keep things going. Extenture targets inflammation that can cause asthma attacks and is proven to reduce them. 1 dose every 6 months. That's a lot of time for everything in between. Serious allergic reactions can occur. Get help right away for swelling of face, mouth, tongue, or trouble breathing. Don't change or stop medicines, including steroids, unless told by your doctor. Report if you have a parasitic infection. Common cold, sinus infection, inflammation in the nose, flu or flu-like symptoms, joint pain, or sore throat may occur. Ask your doctor about twice-yearly Extenture.
Howdy, Roadrunner. You're very fast.
Well, I drink Red Bull.
But you do realize...
Yes, Red Bull gives you wings, but, I'm scared of heights.
Oops.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Red Bull Zero. Zero sugar, low calories. Tried it yet?
Even on an antidepressant, there are days I feel stuck in my head. Depression symptoms, like lack of interest and negative thoughts, can hold me back. I wanted to break through. I asked about Vraylar. Adding Vraylar to an antidepressant significantly reduces overall depression symptoms better than an antidepressant alone.
Not for elderly with dementia-related psychosis due to increased risk of death or stroke. Report changes in behavior or suicidal thoughts to your doctor. Antidepressants may increase these in those under 25. Report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion which may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements which may not go away. High blood sugar may lead to coma or death. Weight gain and high cholesterol may occur. Difficulty moving, uncontrolled movements, tremors, feeling like you need to move, nausea, constipation, insomnia, dizziness, increased appetite, and fatigue are common. Side effects may not appear for weeks.
Vraylar. Breaking through to relief. Ask about Vraylar.
AWS AI is moving business forward. It's how Audi takes vehicles from concept to customer. Delivers real-time match insights to Bundesliga fans. And how small businesses grow online with GoDaddy. How will AI revolutionize your business? AWS AI is how.
What our ancestors accomplished was nothing short of miraculous. But we don't talk about the hidden stories.
These histories together, they all made this country.
This Land, now streaming on the CNN app.
CNN This Morning with Audie Cornish. Weekdays at 6 a.m. on CNN.
Welcome back to Lead. We have more from our exclusive television interview tonight. Our powerful sit-down with Lindsay Fifield, another ex-girlfriend of Maine Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plattner. She's appearing for the very first time on camera here. Before we play more of the interview, a warning to our viewers, this interview does include graphic details of violence that are disturbing. One of the things that was so striking about what Jenny told me yesterday is, after, according to her, he raped her, he passed out. The next morning, according to her, he didn't seem to remember anything. She had said, "You don't remember what happened last night. You know, what happened last night was not okay."
He knew.
But he didn't ask her what happened.
Nope. Because he didn't want to. That rang true to me too. Yeah.
And then a few weeks later, after she learned she wasn't pregnant, because he had not used protection, also against her wishes.
Yeah.
She reached out to him again, told him she wasn't pregnant, reiterated that what happened was not okay. And again, he read it and didn't ask what happened.
Because he knew. And I think that's the thing that, and also I don't want to overemphasize this, but this is a man who is so hostile to the feelings of women, and he is disgusted by any show of emotion. Anytime that I ever cried, anytime that I ever tried to like appeal to him but would start crying, I found myself having to like harden myself or not cry, and he would only respond to like toughness or like masculine energy, basically, of just like, I'm not gonna, he would say, don't bring emotions, or don't try to manipulate me, or like he feels like, or anytime that I confronted him about any kind of deception or cheating or anything, which was often, it was dismissed as just me being a woman and me being like, and just the callousness and hostility that he had toward any kind of emotion like that. The abuse that I suffered has impacted, like the ripple effects were huge. He isolated me from friendships that I've now, this situation, I will say, something good that has come out of this is I've reconciled with friends that I had become estranged from because they've reached out and remembered, like, he isolated you from us. You weren't allowed to be friends with us because he didn't want you going to certain hill parties that he wasn't invited to, or what. He was really controlling of my movements. And so it was, it has been really vindicating, or not vindicating, like good has come out of this, that I have reconciled with or reconnected with different friends and people who are like, oh my God, we wish that we had known the extent of what you were going through at that time. But it explains a lot to them now. But also my behavior after that relationship in other relationships moving forward, and the ways I want to protect my daughters, I want to abuse-proof them, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to figure it out. And
You'll
I'm
figure it out.
Talking to Cheyenne and other people about, like, how are we going to make sure that this generation, I've got 2 little girls, it's another reason that I decided to tell this story, is I will be damned if this ever happens to them. And if they ever find themselves in a relationship and they don't feel like they can call me and tell me immediately. And I didn't feel like I could, and I not only didn't feel like I could tell anyone what was going on, I protected him.
When Jenny told her story, what, if anything, aligned with your experiences?
The eyes.
The dead eyes, where you couldn't hear your protests?
I just know exactly what that looks like. I know exactly what it looks like, and that is something that I feel like people need to understand. It was almost like looking at like a pit bull, where it's nothing, like, but not just nothing, but like a capacity for violence, and you see it, and you know it's there, and it's terrifying. And but also, yeah, a deafness to anything that
Consent?
Yes. Like, this is going to happen. And I think that was the hardest part. Oh, God, I'm sorry.
Jenny also talked about unprotected sex as something she didn't want to happen, that he made happen. Is that something you experienced?
Yeah. So that was something that was really, I think, the worst and most violating part. This was a relationship that went on and on and on, and that even after my roommates and people were like, this has to stop, then it continued in secret, where we continued to see each other even after I had told people, like, no, I'm really done, like, we're really broken up this time, like, I'm not. They'd be like, are you sure? And then, you know, that it's humiliating. It is embarrassing that I continue to go back despite
But a lot
abuse
of it, you were what you were motivated by was trying to protect him.
I was trying to help him, yeah.
You've shared so much with us today, and I really respect it. CNN reached out to Graham Plattner's campaign with many questions following this interview. In a statement, the Plattner campaign told CNN that Fifield's allegations are, quote, categorically false and comes from a person with a well-documented political agenda, unquote. If you or anyone you know is in a situation where there is domestic violence or sexual abuse, there is support available to you to find resources and develop a safety plan. The National Domestic Violence Hotline is free, 24/7, completely confidential. You can call 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. Or you can go to thehotline.org. Thehotline.org. Free confidential support is also available 24/7 through the National Sexual Assault Hotline. 800-656-4673, 800-656-4673, or online at rainn.org, R-A-I-N-N, 2 N's there, RAINN.org. Help is out there. You are not alone. We're going to go live to Maine next for the latest from the Plattner campaign and reaction on the ground.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Red Bull Zero. Zero sugar, low calories. Tried it yet?
I've had this fucking me since the very start.
I always wanted more. I went back to school at 39. 33.
42.
And now my skills, much right. At Capella University, we help you catch what you're chasing. What can't you do?
Back to the breaking news. We're continuing to track the fallout from the allegations against Maine's Democratic Senate candidate Graham Plattner. I have now spoken with two women in on-the-record, on-camera interviews who dated him, both of them sharing with CNN viewers disturbing details from the relationships with him, abusive details. Plattner denies any non-consensual behavior. Both of the women disagree, one of them accusing him of rape. CNN's Arlette Saenz is in Portland, Maine. And Arlette, what are Mainers saying to you?
Well, Jake, Maine voters that we spoke with today used words like disappointing, heartbreaking, and disqualifying to describe the latest rape allegation that Graham Plattner is facing in this campaign. Many of the Democratic voters that we spoke with said that they believe it is time for him to step aside and allow the party to find a new Democratic nominee to face off against Senator Susan Collins in November. Maine, of course, is one of these Senate seats that will be key in these midterm battles as it comes to control of the U.S. Senate. And Democrats had long hoped that they would be able to unseat Collins. And now there's some big questions about whether that will happen in this campaign. But I want you to hear from two of the voters that we spoke to today who had this to say when we asked if they thought that Plattner should drop out.
It's extremely disappointing and troubling, and I think probably disqualifying.
So do you think he should drop out at this point?
I do, unfortunately.
Do you think Plattner should drop out?
It's a tough call. He'll have to make that decision. But the party is abandoning him on a national level and on a state level. I don't think he has a choice.
Now, Plattner has yet to publicly share any decision, but he would need to drop out by 5 p.m. on Monday in order for the Democratic Party to begin considering another nominee. Then that would set off a 2-week sprint for the state party to determine who they would put forth as their candidate. The party officials are still working through exactly what a process would look like. They've insisted it would be open and transparent, but some of the ideas that have been floated are potentially holding a mini convention or a caucus for Democrats to select their nominees. So still a lot of questions going forward about how Democrats might replace Plattner if he decides to drop out. But ultimately, we are still waiting for that decision from Graham Plattner about the future of his campaign.
Arlette Saenz in Portland, Maine. Thanks so much. We're going to have much more reaction to this interview with Lindsay Fifield accusing Plattner of disturbing and violent behavior. And the breaking news is Democratic support for Graham Plattner is falling apart. Stay with us.
At Stanton, for a limited time, kids get a free eye exam.
Penguins need clear vision. Kids do too.
Plus, glasses start at just $79. Made same day. Smart, simple. Stanton.
My moderate to severe Crohn's symptoms kept me out of the picture. Now I have Skyrizi.
And now I'm back in the picture. Skyrizi is the only IL-23 inhibitor proven to help achieve remission, meaning few no symptoms in just 4 weeks for some people. Many were in remission at 12 weeks, at 1 year, and even at 4 years. Plus, Skyrizi is proven to help visibly repair damage on the intestinal lining.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's.
Now's the time to take control of your Crohn's. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's disease.
Issues that matter here are the issues that affect all of us. Join me live in Los Angeles for the latest stories and conversations as news breaks all around the world.
The Story Is with Alex Michelson, weeknights on CNN.
I have moderate to severe plaque psoriasis, but thanks to Skyrizi and clearer skin, I'm all in. Most people saw 90% clearer skin from head to toe. Skyrizi is only 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Nothing on my skin means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi.
Visit bombas.com and get 20% off your first order.
My moderate to severe plaque psoriasis held me back, but now I'm all in with clearer skin, thanks to Skyrizi.
Most people achieved clearer skin from head to toe. Many were 100% plaque-free. And many were completely clear, even at 5 years.
People also saw significant improvement in pain, redness, itching, and burning.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis. Learn how AbbVie could help you save.
So you like to fight?
You need to make a stand! Let him fight! Go, go, go! Let's do it!
So you like to fight?
We're back with the breaking news. Democrats reckoning with the backlash to Maine Senate nominee Graham Plattner after two former girlfriends, two women, have now spoken to me on camera, on the record, one accusing him of rape, another one today, Lindsay Fifield, telling me he was violent and hostile during the relationship. He denies all the claims. Let's bring in my panel. Corinne, your reaction to what we just heard from Lindsay Fifield in a very understandably emotional interview.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just think it's so telling that she had to come out and tell her story again after doing so a month later. And both she and Jenny, after their conversation with you, I think it's quite clear that, one, Lindsay wasn't given a fair shake on all of this because of her political affiliation. She was held to higher standards of scrutiny than the man being accused, the man with the Nazi tattoo and a trove of offensive Reddit posts being accused of now rape and various other disturbing behaviors. And I think that that just says a lot. The fact that Democrats are only coming out now and taking her for her word, and it's disturbing. It's really disturbing.
What do you think, Sochi?
I mean, I think also Democrats need to learn from this lesson. There were a number of Democrats who came out to campaign for Graham Plattner after the first New York Times story, and they said it was politically motivated. All I would say to them is the statement that they have now given you, they're now saying it is all politically motivated, that he didn't do any of these things. And so this is disgusting. Now, we are almost at 24 hours. I think we are at 24 hours since the last story broke. Where is Graham Plattner? At this point, he is apparently, according to reporting, still trying to figure out whether he's getting out of the race, potentially picking a successor. A man who has allegedly raped a woman and has sexually assaulted and done other things to potentially another girlfriend, etc., should not have a say on successor. He needs to get out of the race. And there needs to be more pressure from the Democratic Party to make clear that he has no say moving forward about who is going to be the Democratic nominee, because he doesn't deserve that, not when you are being accused of rape.
Now, we just checked his social media, nothing from him. Yesterday, he did issue a video statement in which he denied Jenny Rassicot's story, her rape story from 2021, less than 5 years ago. It was like November, December 2021, fairly recently. One of the things that struck me in my interview with Lindsay Fifield that we didn't include it just because we were crashing. We just did this afternoon. was she talked about one of the reasons she stayed in this relationship for 2 years, and one of them was because he had PTSD, which he's talked about, and he self-medicated, which he's talked about too, by drinking a lot of alcohol. And she felt an obligation to stay with him and to help him. And also, anytime that she said anything to him about something he did, something non-consensual that he did, and on, he would say to her, like, "Oh, you're making me feel bad about myself." And so there was this, look, it's not uncommon. I'm sure you two have heard more about this type of thing from your female friends than I have heard. But it is this vicious cycle of toxicity. And it creates an unfair blaming of the woman, and B, an unfair sense of shame that the women feel. Talk about that if you would.
Well, look, I have a lot of sympathy for folks who are struggling with PTSD and the aftermath of combat, the type of combat that we're partner is. Yeah. These are very difficult things. But at some point, you're running for Senate as somebody with zero experience doing so. And this cannot end up being an excuse for over and over again for very disturbing behavior. And again, it's not just that he's falling back on this explanation, it's that he has told his fellow Democrats over and over again that nothing worse was coming after. And not only is that a liability for the party, both morally and politically, it's just not fair to Maine voters. I spent a lot of time reporting on New England politics. I've followed this race since the very beginning.
You used to be with the Boston Globe, right?
I was previously at the Boston Globe, and this is just deeply unfair to Maine voters. They deserve better. They've been lied to over and over again.
It's a wonderful state, wonderful people. And,
it is.
Yeah, and in this instance, it sounds like he was using it as a permission structure to conduct the actions that he was doing. If I were advising him right now, instead of talking about who is going to be your successor, how do you get out, etc., if I were part of his team, I would tell him, go get some help. Go either to rehab, you need help. And whether that is saving your marriage, that is, saving what is a piece of your life, go ahead and do that and exit the race. I think at this point, there is enough out there. And from my understanding is there is potentially more. There are rumors right now in Democratic circles that Republicans are holding on to opposition research, and they're waiting until after Monday to drop it because they wanted him to stay in the race. They want to run against Graham Plattner. There is more coming out. The longer he stays in, the more that there will come out. And this man clearly needs some help.
Yeah, one of the things that also struck me in the interview with Lindsay Fifield today, she talked about how Plattner called her before he announced he was running. She thought it was just like a check-in. And he told her how well he was doing. And she was really, really happy for him. She really was glad. It sounded like he had gotten his act together. He had moved back to Maine, and on and on. And then she realized later that he was just kind of making sure I wasn't going to go public with anything. But as it was, she wasn't planning on it. But then came the lie about the Nazi tattoo. And she's like, that's not true. He called it a Totenkopf with me back in 2013. And then came all the other stuff. And she felt like she had an obligation to tell the truth, not to stop anybody from electing him necessarily, but although she painted a very vivid picture of what he could be like if he got power, but just to tell the truth.
And what you're painting basically is that Democrats had warnings from the very beginning. Lindsay's not the only person that knew about this tattoo. There were people within the campaign that understood. His political director, Genevieve McDonald, resigned in about October, I believe, when she figured out that this was all going on.
And Democrats have completely attacked her also.
Attacked her completely unfairly for something that she's basically being vindicated right now, right?
Yeah.
She warned them that this was going to blow up and be a bigger deal, and it has. But Democrats right now who finally have said this is the final straw, well, you've had warnings since October, and I don't think there's an excuse for that.
What do you think, Sachi?
Yeah, I think that Democrats did have warnings when it came to this. And I do think that a lot of people are talking about vetting. I like to talk about it as a tested candidate. As we head into 2028, I do think you can do all the vetting that you want. There's one thing about vetting. There's another thing about running in a competitive race and being tested, whether that is in a swing state or a competitive district, where stuff like this comes out and you lose a primary or you lose your general election. In this instance, he was not tested. And I think that is a big conversation moving forward.
Yeah, although we should note the governor, Janet Mills, who was running against him in the Democratic primary, she ran ads of women reading some of the offensive posts on Reddit, really disgusting stuff, blaming rape victims for for, you know, their role in being raped, et cetera, et cetera. And he still clocked her in fundraising and then the primary. Thanks to both of you for being here. You can follow me on Facebook and Instagram and Threads and Blue Sky and X, and on the TikTok at Jake Tapper. You can follow the show on X and Instagram at the Lead CNN. And if you ever miss an episode of the Lead, you can watch the show on the CNN app. Aaron Burnett out front starts right now.
Up front next, the breaking news. The United States just launching new strikes in Iran. Officials telling CNN the strikes are punishment and won't end anytime soon. So what was left of the quote-unquote ceasefire under serious threat tonight? We'll go live to the ground in Tehran. Plus, Graham Plattner's campaign teetering on the brink of collapse. The Democrat who could replace him in what is a must-win race for the party is our guest tonight, as one of the nation's top political forecasters lays out whether Dems can beat Susan Collins. And the breaking news out of New York, a midtown high-rise at risk of collapsing. Everyone evacuated, buildings around it evacuated, a whole section of midtown Manhattan shut down. We'll go live to the scene. Let's go out front. And good evening, I'm Aaron Burnett. And out front tonight, we begin with the breaking news. The United States launching new major strikes against Iran tonight. The ceasefire, as fragile as it is facing its most significant test yet. The United States also announcing it is reinstating sanctions on Iranian oil. The country has netted tens of billions of dollars because those sanctions were taken away in recent weeks. A U.S. official tonight telling CNN that the strikes won't be over for a bit. Well, the attacks, the sanctions coming after the United States accused Iran of targeting 3 commercial vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. I want to begin our breaking coverage tonight by going to the ground in Tehran, where Fred Pleitgen is there. I note that CNN operates in Iran with the permission of the government, but we maintain full editorial control of these reports. Fred, what are you learning? What are you hearing and seeing? As I see cars behind you in the early hours of Tuesday morning or Wednesday morning in Tehran, what are you learning about these attacks?
Hi, Aaron. Well, this could very well still be an ongoing situation with those strikes that the U.S. is conducting. We're hearing from Iranian media, from Iranian social media, and then also from some videos that are coming in on the ground that apparently there have been some pretty heavy explosions that have been reported in towns that are around the Strait of Hormuz. Specifically, one of them is Bandar Abbas, which of course is one of the main support towns that's also used by the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps Navy. A lot of explosions were reported from that area. Also, possibly the town of Sirik, which is sort of on the eastern edge of the Strait of Hormuz. But it's unclear, because these towns are so close to one another, whether these are sounds that are going from one town to the next, or whether these are really a series of major explosions. Certainly several explosions have been reported from that area down in the Strait of Hormuz. Also, Iranian officials are commenting on all of this as well. You mentioned Iranian foreign ministry criticizing the move on the part of the U.S. to revoke those sanctions waivers against Iran. There's also an Iranian foreign minister, Aaron, who has come out tonight and heavily criticized that military action by the United States, calling that a breach of Article 1 and 2 of the Memorandum of Understanding that, of course, is supposed to enforce a ceasefire between Iran and the United States. And finally, the Iranians are saying that they are willing to take all necessary measures and reserve the right to take all necessary measures to ensure what they call their national interest there.
And Fred, what does that mean in terms of retaliation? We know with the most recent strikes just days ago, they struck U.S. assets and bases. What are you hearing about what they'll do now?
Yeah, they struck those, and they struck those very quickly in the past couple of times that incidents or similar incidents have happened. Certainly, we haven't heard from the Iranians so far whether or not they are going to strike back, but the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps certainly has said that in cases like this, their finger is on the trigger. And of course, we know especially U.S. assets in the Gulf countries could be at risk from Iranian retaliation. One of the things, of course, that's different this time that we have to take note of as well is that we are in the ongoing proceedings for the funeral of the supreme leader of Iran, the slain supreme leader of Iran, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. One of the interesting things that's been going on tonight, Aaron, is that large parts of Iran's political leadership, some of their military leadership, are actually in Iraq, in Najaf and in Karbala, where the body of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has arrived. So it's unclear whether or not that changes the game for the Iranians, but they certainly have said that their military is on full alert, even as these proceedings are going on. And again, they say their finger is on the trigger all the time, Aaron.
Fred Pleitgen, thank you very much. How important that you are there on the ground in Tehran tonight. And this reporting coming as Trump lashes out at allies and cozies up to a strongman. The president of the United States arrived today at the NATO summit in Istanbul and gave some of America's closest friends told him what he thinks about them while embracing Turkey's authoritarian leader. From the minute Trump arrived at the summit, he was performing some of his NATO insults, from threatening to take over Greenland.
That's what hurt my relationship with NATO. It was Greenland and it continues to be, that should be controlled by the United States, not by Denmark.
It's Groundhog's Day, and for any European country that thought that maybe he had moved on, no, back to that again. And he also criticized fellow NATO countries for not spending enough on defense.
Why are we spending hundreds of billions of dollars and they're not there for us? We've always been there for them.
Trump also downplayed the 4-year war that Russia started against Ukraine, which, of course, Europe has donated more to.
It doesn't affect us. It's really, it's far away. It affects Europe much more. We're there to help Europe, but it doesn't affect the United States. We have an ocean in between.
At the NATO summit, there was also the Italian Prime Minister, Giorgia Meloni, of course. And now Trump, of course, has been slamming her recently. You'll remember when she shocked much of the world by her cozying up to Trump in her early days as a leader. But now this has changed completely. She's one of his top targets because she does not fully support his war against Iran. Trump was asked about Meloni today.
We had a bad relationship. It became a little bad because she refused to help us.
A little bad doesn't describe the public battle between the two leaders right now, though Meloni had backed out of attending the American Embassy's 4th of July celebrations because of Trump's personal attacks on her. That goes back to Trump, who claimed about Meloni at the G7 that, quote, she begged me to take a picture with her. She wanted a picture with me so badly. I wouldn't have taken it, but I felt sorry for her. Meloni responded, accusing Trump of making it up, insisting she and Italy never beg, and it deteriorated from there. Over the weekend, Trump escalated the public spat, posting this meme of Meloni looking up at Trump with the caption, "Restraining order needed." Obviously bizarre. Now, when pressed today, Meloni would only say that the relationship was, quote, cordial, taking the high road. There is one man, though, that Trump did not slam today, and that is President Erdogan of Turkey.
I was very disappointed with NATO. And frankly, if it weren't held in Turkey, where my friend happens to be a very strong leader, a very strong person, it's possible that I wouldn't have attended. I would say the relationship with Turkey right now is better probably than it's ever been.
Trump even says he's considering selling Turkey F-35 fighter jets, which has faced bipartisan opposition. In fact, if Trump did that, he would be reversing a ban that he imposed 7 years ago, he said at the time, because of important security concerns.
I can tell you many people, including the people sitting right here, thinks, why wouldn't we do that? We have a better relationship with Turkey, and Turkey's been in many ways much more loyal than other countries that we think would be loyal.
So today, Trump threatened again to take over Greenland, slammed Italy, Denmark, the UK, and France, but lavished praise on a man whose government is totalitarian. The same man who arrested dozens before the NATO summit and even last year arrested the mayor of Istanbul, a powerful political opponent, in a dawn raid of his home. It's no surprise that Trump's actions since he's been back in office perhaps have spurred now an emergency meeting, we've learned, among U.S. allies. According to the Wall Street Journal, this is new reporting tonight, they're saying that this meeting included the leaders of France, Italy, Denmark, Germany, and it took place just days after the New Year. French President Emmanuel Macron suggested that France was ready to go to war in order to protect Greenland. And Meloni, who first told the group that while they may not like Trump, he could still be reasoned with, later rescinded that comment, telling leaders in March that, quote, Trump is not reasonable. Everybody is here with me. I mean, Seth, just on the heels of that, I think Giorgia Meloni, right, that he's reasonable, and then coming back to make a point of saying, actually, no, he's not. You speak to NATO officials every day. What do they, at this moment, with this conference in Istanbul on the line, what do they really think of Trump at this moment?
Well, Aaron, there's no question, and they've said this publicly, there are big disagreements about Greenland, which has come up again, big disagreements about whether they should have provided assistance to the U.S. during Operation Epic Fury. They argue, understandably, that they were never seriously consulted before the war began. But I would just say, at the end of the day, that virtually every NATO intelligence agency assesses that Russia is a serious threat and will pose a threat over the next several years. I think they still need and want U.S. ground support with combat brigade teams or brigade combat teams, U.S. Nuclear deterrent help. And so I think there's this back and forth with political disagreements, but a recognition that the U.S. military and U.S. intelligence agencies do provide a helpful deterrent to NATO.
So, Nick Burns, obviously you're a former U.S. ambassador to NATO. When I mentioned a few moments ago that the Wall Street Journal was reporting this about this emergency meeting about Trump, obviously he's returned to the Greenland issue today, right, when he gets to NATO. Does anything come out of this?
Well, I think the irony here, Aaron, is that, President Trump can legitimately take some credit for the fact that he has pushed the NATO allies to spend more on defense. Most of these allies were spending below 2% of their gross domestic product on defense. They've all committed to spend 3.5%, an additional 1.5% on military infrastructure. This is a major achievement. He won't take the wind. It's as if he's talking about a Europe of 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, not the Europe of today that is really focused on the threat from Russia. And I think you cataloged the abusive comments he's made, the sarcastic comments, the critical comments personally about a number of NATO leaders. We've never had an American president do that. Can you imagine Truman or Eisenhower or John F. Kennedy or Ronald Reagan criticizing in personal terms the Italian prime minister, the French president, the German chancellor, the British prime minister? That's all happened in the last 2 or 3 months. And I think what he's done on Greenland, he's broken the bond of trust that is at the heart of the NATO alliance. As you mentioned, I was the American ambassador at NATO on 9/11 when New York City was attacked and Washington, D.C. The allies rushed to our defense. Within 24 hours, they had pledged to defend us. Every single one of them went into Afghanistan. So we really need NATO. NATO's important for the United States, and the threat now is Putin and Russia. So when the president says somehow the Atlantic Ocean is going to protect us in the 21st century from Russia, he's just badly mistaken. He's living in some other century, but not the century we're living in.
Well, especially when we talk about, reporting about how easy it is to get drones off the coast. And the world has changed dramatically. So warfare has changed. Even in recent months, we've seen that. Seth, Trump said he might not have even gone to the NATO summit if it weren't for his strong friendship with Turkey's leader, of course, the authoritarian Erdogan. And now he's going to may sell Turkey those F-35s that they really want. He had banned for security reasons. OK, so to that point that Trump had banned it, maybe at the time he was listening to his then friend, Prime Minister Netanyahu. I want to play part of what he said about that F-35 sale today to our Dan Bash.
I think that everybody understands that, notwithstanding the personal friendship that President Trump has with Erdogan, it doesn't make Turkey a friendly or a friendly state to the United States. To the contrary, it's a regime that's infected with the Muslim Brotherhood, which hates the United States. He harbors Hamas, the Hamas terrorists. He supports them. He finances them. He's thrown his opponents in jail, all of them. He throws more journalists in jail than anyone can understand. So he's not exactly a model ally of the United States.
Prime Minister doesn't do many interviews, Seth. So now with this, he felt it important. He wants to talk about that. Okay. And yet, it appears he's lost the ear of the president. Does this now just fall on deaf ears, Netanyahu, when it comes to Trump?
Yeah, Aaron. The Netanyahu-Trump relationship has definitely deteriorated somewhat. I mean, it could get resurrected as it does with many leaders. but it has deteriorated. And I suspect we're seeing right now a buildup of Hezbollah activity in southern Lebanon. We easily could see the Israeli strike targets and the ceasefire becoming unhinged. But I think, the big issue on the F-35s was when the Turks bought the S-400, among other, it's the Russian air defense system. It was a red line for a number of NATO states, including the United States. It is worth noting, by the way, that in the Turkish air defense system right now, they are not using that S-400 system as part of what they call the Steel Dome. So the Turkish response to that is, we're not using the S-400 right now, so time to sell us F-35s.
All right. Thank you both very much. I appreciate your time tonight. And next, the breaking news, Democrat Graham Plattner's campaign unraveling, in a sense, a surprise. It's lasted this long, but now one of his biggest backers urging him to drop out of the Senate race in Maine. A top Democrat in Maine who just filed the paperwork to potentially run if Plattner is out front next. And the Trump curse, the term trending. That's actually trending after Team USA's loss to Belgium. Today, though, Trump is uncharacteristically silent about it. And a shocking and deeply disturbing twist tonight. A mother who publicly claimed that her twins died after a routine vaccination, anti-vax fears, has now been charged with their murder.
When it comes to running a restaurant, you don't really get days off. It takes a lot of your energy. My dad has been doing it for us 6 days a week for 35 years. Knowing AG1 supports healthy energy levels for my dad and I, it gives me peace of mind.
Remember what it felt like to be a little kid? Stores were playgrounds, and your mom's shoe closet was a world of characters waiting to be stepped into. And one day, poof, things got serious. Listen, we get it. Sometimes you have to be an adult. We believe that kid is in all of us still. So leave your adult self outside and call them in when it's time to check out. You'll be surprised at how quickly you remember what it feels like to play. DSW, let us surprise you.
I'm the shadow where I shine bright, dressed like a dog, darkness feel right. I'm the shadow.
Good morning, moon. Good morning, dune. Good morning, ocean's tomb. Good morning, stars. Good morning, air. Good morning, people everywhere.
Finally, a platform that thinks like you. The new Power eTrade Pro gives you nearly unlimited customization with up to 120 tools and charts across 6 workspaces, plus automatic pattern recognition from the original place to trade online.
Breaking news, Democrat Graham Plattner's campaign on the brink of collapse tonight. Plattner suffering a major blow earlier when one of his biggest backers, Senator Bernie Sanders, joined a growing number of Democrats demanding he leave Maine's Senate race. It came after a woman told CNN that Plattner raped her. Plattner denies that allegation, but it has upended one of the most closely watched and important Senate races in the country. It is one that Democrats must win to take back control of the Senate. This is a must-win situation, and the clock is ticking for Plattner to make a decision. He has to, if he's going to get out, do it by Monday in order to be replaced on the state ballot. Even if that happens, there is no known process to put someone else on that ballot. Out front now, Troy Jackson is former Democratic president of Maine State Senate, who has now filed campaign paperwork just today to possibly replace Plattner if he drops out. So, Senator Jackson, I appreciate your time. I guess, here we are, maybe not where you expected we would be even, 36 hours ago. Do you believe at this point Plattner will end his Senate campaign before Monday's deadline?
Well, I do. I think Graham is going to drop out because it's about the issues that aren't so important, and somebody else has to pick that mantle up, and I think Graham's going to do the right thing and drop out.
Obviously, you have a lot of experience in politics in Maine, and you ran for governor. You came in third in the Democratic primary there, and you told a local reporter in Maine, and I quote you here: "If Graham's stepping away, I'm very, very interested and think I'm the best person to replace him." But as I mentioned, Troy, there's no known process to get anyone on the ballot whose name isn't Graham Plattner at this point, right? It's an unknown. I mean, would you even have enough time to do this, to get it together, to pull off a win if you got in the next few days?
Well, I think it's definitely a challenge, a shorter timeline. But I think that, again, there's a movement here in Maine and across this country of people that are fed up with health care not being offered to everyday people, with prescription drugs, workers' rights. I mean, and we're seeing that here in Maine. And I think that is going to carry whoever is a nominee to victory over Collins, because she doesn't offer any of that. And so that's what I think. I mean, short timeline, obviously money and all that is going to be a challenge. But I definitely think it's doable because the message, the movement is right, and that's what's important.
So another ex-girlfriend of Plattner's, Lindsay Fifield, who's alleged Plattner was physically abusive to her, spoke out just within the past hour to Jake Tapper, and I wanted to play some of what she said. Senator, here she is.
The things that he does in private in his relationships with women, the things that he has done to women, coercive control, lying, deception, abuse, and really horrible things that we know about him. We know that you can't be that way in private and not have it translate into how you would govern.
The Plattner campaign told CNN that Fifield's allegations are categorically false, comes from a person with a well-documented political agenda. I'm curious, Senator, you're obviously as connected as it gets in Maine Democratic politics, right? You're president of Maine State Senate. So is there more to come? I mean, every time he's been asked, he says no, and then we learn something else, right? Is there more?
Mm-hmm. Honestly, I don't know. We had conversation about this being like one of the biggest races ever. I mean, yes, I have had a lot of experience in state legislative races, and I've had to ask candidates to step down when we found out stuff about them. But, my conversation with him was there was nothing. Now here we are with, things coming out, and I don't know if there's more. I really don't. But it doesn't matter. The thing is that a woman came forward, said she was sexually assaulted. That's the end. I mean, that's the red line that's why Graham has to step down. It shouldn't matter if something else is going to come out. There's already been enough come out.
All right, well, Senator Jackson, I appreciate your time, and thank you very much for coming on. I want to go now to Dave Wasserman of the Cook Political Report. And Dave, you've got new analysis, based on this breaking news. So, we were just talking about it with Senator Jackson there, right? There's no process. If Graham Plattner gets out by the deadline, his name's on the ballot. So now you're in an unknown chart. There's not a rules process for Democrats to get someone on because he already won the primary. So how does this go? If Troy Jackson were able to get in the race or someone else, if they were able to figure this out, do Democrats have a path to victory against Collins in Maine at this point?
Yes, they very much do, because Donald Trump's approval rating in the state is still in the mid-30s, and she's a Republican running for re-election. Look, what Democrats are losing here if Plattner withdraws is charisma, because he lit the Democratic grassroots on fire. He tapped into an independent voter in Maine who is more aligned with Bernie Sanders. His Democratic primary competitors, including Governor Janet Mills, couldn't light up a room with a blowtorch. That said, Troy Jackson is a name we should be getting used to, because he's now the odds-on favorite to be the nominee. The most important surrogate here.
So you think he has a choice?
Sanders,
we just heard from, right?
That's right. Bernie Sanders endorsed Troy Jackson's campaign for governor, and Democrats know that in order to win this race, they're going to need the support of progressives. They can't have a split party. And no matter the severity of the allegations against Graham Plattner, and no matter who Democrats nominate, there's always going to be a faction of Plattner supporters who believe that DC establishment Democrats pushed him out of the race. And so that makes it difficult to unite the party into battle against Collins. But Jackson represents probably Democrats' best chance, given that some of the other people in the mix could be portrayed as having shallower roots in Maine, whereas Jackson is a logger from Allagash, even if he's not as charismatic a candidate as Plattner has been.
So we're still, 119 days away from the midterms. But, we talk about Maine being a must-win for Democrats, or Texas or other ones, plus a map that isn't that friendly, right, which creates these must-win situations for them if they want to take back the Senate. What are the odds that they actually succeed?
Well, it's going to come down to a handful of very close races. And Democrats know that in order to win back the Senate, they don't just need to flip two purple states held by Republicans, Maine and North Carolina. They also need to win at least two pretty red states that voted for Donald Trump by more than 10 points in 2024. That means that if they fall short in Maine, they need to win most likely 3 out of 4 of Iowa, Texas, and they need to win. They need to hold on to Michigan. They would need to win Alaska and or Ohio. And so to hold on to those chances, Democrats need to run perfect races in these red states. They're probably best positioned right now in Ohio, followed by Alaska, but Iowa and Texas are going to be hard for them to win. And Michigan, where a progressive Abdul El-Sayed is running ahead of Haley Stevens in the primary, could give Republicans an outside shot at nabbing a Democratic seat. So there's going to be a lot of money focused on just a handful of these races, and I still put Democrats' odds in the Senate somewhere in the 40% range.
All right, somewhere in the 40%. All right, well, Dave, I love talking to you. Thank you so much. Great to see you. And next, the question's growing over Senator Mitch McConnell. And where is he? His health. It has been 3 weeks since he was hospitalized, and we still don't know why or what his condition is. Plus, a leading candidate in a closely watched Senate race defending his decision to delete tweets about defunding the police.
I deleted all the tweets because I didn't want them to be taken out of context like this.
That's obviously Ahmed Al-Sayed, who Dave Wasserman was just talking about. Arcade File found those tweets, and you'll see what they said.
In a divided America, where do I fit?
You tell me, ask your partner.
Abby Phillip brings all sides to the table.
Can you name one
thing you do differently?
The hypocrisy is so rank, folks at home. Classes in session.
To talk about the issues.
Congresswoman, it is false. The answer is 0.
The policies.
What is the Democratic Party about? Can you answer that question?
And the biggest debates to wrap up your day.
I hear what you're saying Trump believes in, but do you think it's a good idea?
Newsnight with Abby Phillip. Weeknights at 10 on CNN and watch on the CNN app.
I have active psoriatic arthritis, but want to move with more freedom. So I'm ready to jump in with Skyrizi, along with clearer skin. Skyrizi helps me move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. And it's just 4 doses a year after 2 start doses.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi.
Here's what you can find out front, direct and raw. Okay, now we hear the sirens getting ahead of the biggest stories and giving you context. How important is this moment?
Aaron Burnett out front, weeknights at 7 on CNN, and watch on the CNN app.
The itch and rash of moderate to severe eczema disrupts my skin. Despite treatment, it's still not under control. Now I have Rinvoq, a once daily pill that reduces the itch and helps clear the rash of eczema fast. Some felt significant itch relief as early as 2 days, and some achieved dramatic skin clearance as early as 2 weeks. Many saw clear or almost clear skin.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal. Cancers including lymphoma and skin, serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events, infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Disrupt the itch and rash of eczema. See a head-to-head study of Rinvoq versus another treatment at Rinvoq.com/see the data. Talk to your dermatologist if you're not doing well on your current pill or injection to see if Rinvoq is right for you.
This is the furniture America has waited 250 years for. Bob's Sedona Power Reclining Sofa, genuine leather seats. The Homework Standing Set, lift top storage. The Solitude Bedroom, over 700 five-star reviews. And Playday Sectional, made from 100% American ambition.
Celebrate America's favorite furniture at Bob's,
where America shops for furniture.
Trademark! Oh, my Bob!
Bob's Discount Furniture.
My moderate to severe Crohn's symptoms kept me out of the picture. With Skyrizi, feel significant symptom relief at 4 weeks. Many people were in remission at 12 weeks, at 1 year, and even at 4 years.
Don't use if allergic. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and TB. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi.
Tonight, growing questions over Mitch McConnell's mysterious hospitalization. Now, it's been 3 weeks since the Republican senator was hospitalized after an EMS call revealed emergency responders were called to his address for a cardiac arrest call that required CPR. However, McConnell's office still will not say why he was admitted to the hospital or what his condition is, right? So we merely know that call was made to his address.